Hi, this is Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D. If you watched my first video that I made yesterday, I talked about the possibility of starting a podcast network for podcasts that are generally in the area of Marxism or Maoism, Third Worldism. Now, that does not mean that all of your podcasts need to be on that subject, but at least some of them should be. And for those that are, you would introduce your podcast by saying that it is a part of the network. That sounds logical, right? That way you would be establishing that spirit of community which these kinds of networks are intended to facilitate. Now, originally, I thought about something with the word tube in it as the name of the podcast network. But then I realized, well, tube refers to YouTube, usually. Twitch has no tube in it. TikTok has no tube in it. Vimeo has no tube in it, and so on and so on. And I don't want to put any restrictions on where your video can be, as long as it's online. So I dropped the idea of tube, and here is what I came up with. MTWN, the Marxist or Maoist Third Worldist Network. Okay, so if your podcast is Marxist, good. If your podcast is Marxist as well as Maoist, that's also good. Either way, it's fine. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it the Marxist Third Worldist Network or the Maoist Third Worldist Network. Doesn't matter to me. Now, yesterday, I asked for suggestions on a name for the network. I have not gotten any responses back. Well, I shouldn't expect it this soon. It's a new idea. But if you don't like my idea, and I can understand that, then just write me a comment below this video giving me your alternate suggestion for what you think the network should be called. And we'll talk about it, okay? We'll try to come up with a term which is agreeable to all of us. But I think MTWN sounds good. Why not? You know, I mean, it's a name, and we can identify our network by it. So, for example, I would say, hi, this is Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D., a part of the Marxist Third Worldist Network, or a part of MTWN. Either way, that would identify that particular podcast, not necessarily all of your podcasts, but that particular one, as being a part of our network. So I hope you find this to be appealing to you. Well, obviously, if you're not a Marxist, if you're not a Maoist, if you're not a Third Worldist, you won't care. So if you're an anarchist, that's fine. Be an anarchist. But join BreadTube. BreadTube is good. I have no problem with BreadTube. I think it's a bit silly at times, but I have no problem with it. If they want to be silly, they can be silly. I don't watch BreadTube that much, but I've seen a few of their videos, and they seem okay. They seem okay. Also, of course, our network has very little in common with the Young Turks. The Young Turks also has a whole bunch of different, I guess you can call them separate podcasts, but they are all owned by the Young Turks. And this would not be the case here. Here, you will be the only person who will own your videos. The only thing that will change is that we will be now a part of a community. Okay, so if any of that appeals to you, if you would like to be a part of this new budding network, again, just write me a note right below this video and we will begin to talk. This is Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D. Have a good day or a good evening.